What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 56. Red and White Squared. Monday. Day 148. Deku woke up in the morning to the sight of Neo sleeping on his chest. Deku smiled. Neo then woke up. "Good morning, Neo," Deku said. Neo smiled. Neo then pulled something out. A ring. "Wait, where were you keeping that?" Deku said. Neo put her finger to her mouth and winked. Neo then put the ring on Deku's finger and smiled. "Neo. This does not mean we are married," Deku said. Neo pouted. "Don't give me that attitude." "Where did you even get these?" Deku asked. Neo gave Deku a smug look. "So you stole them?" Deku said. Neo pouted. "Getting them from a dead couple does not make it any better. I'd prefer you just outright stole them," Deku said. Neo got angry. All right. Thank you. Just please don't crush my balls." Neo smiled and then disappeared. "What's all the commotion about?" Penny asked. "I do. Why are you yelling so early?" Evelyn said. "Sorry for yelling," Deku said. "What on Remnant was going on?" Jack asked. "I got married, I guess," Deku said. "What?" the others yelled. Team JPDE and Titania were in the mess hall after school. Jack had told them about what she had learned about Weather. "Weather was born in Peak," David said. "Yes. His tracks going into Beacon were well covered, but Miss Lavender managed to find archives of a now-defunct school for Aura users in a smaller town inside the Vale Kingdom. Among those archives, there was the register of the students, which included details like date and place of birth. Aweza Van Gertie was registered as having been born in Peak. And now we know who ran interference on the city's last pleas of help to the outside world," Jack said. His own family," Evelyn said. "Every single person he has ever known," Penny said. "And he was just a kid. Why would he do that?" "And how?" Deku asked. "Bastard tried to kill Janara a second time," then Titania said. "Excuse me?" Jack asked. "When Evelyn used her semblance on Janara during the surgery, she pretty much saw all of her life. And, well, she saw much more than just her years of solitude in Peak," Titania said. "The effort messed me up, as you know. I started seeing immediate future and past all jumbled together. Like, I remember seeing one place from 4 different heights. Probably from 4 different moments in time. I also heard her speak and her voice was completely different. Not only that, but the amount of time I went back with using my semblance was much longer than Janara's age. It's like I saw moments from when she wasn't even created," Evelyn said. But that's impossible," Jack said. "Maybe you saw someone else's memories?" Penny asked. "My semblance doesn't see a person's memories, Penny. I don't read minds. What I saw was Evelyn said. "You saw her body's memories, is that correct?" David asked. You can't mean," Jack said. "It's the only explanation that makes any kind of sense. It can't be a switch like what happened to Bella and Thilla, because in that case Janara should have her memories from before the switch," David said. And if we go with what happened with Titania," Deku said. "Just like me, Janara got her genetic head start from someone else. But the meat and bone of it, as it were, previously belonged to someone else. We were made from pure obsidian and someone else's corpse," Titania said. "One of the last things Amber told me before disappearing was that this secret would serve to reveal the depravity of our enemy. Now I understand what she meant. Maybe, just maybe, Janara wanting to approach Ozpin isn't just about Amber," Jack said. "She has been looking for a clue of any kind of who she might have been in Peak. And she found nothing," Titania said. And now she has the opportunity to help Amber whilst also maybe finding something about herself. I guess Evelyn said. She couldn't tell us about her plan because she couldn't risk us stopping her, Penny said. No, that's not it, David said. David, Penny asked. Whoever her body may have belonged to before, she's gone. Janara is not that person, just like I'm not the Guardian. And Janara most probably knows that better than anyone, David said. But then why is she? Titania asked. You were a defense system, Titania. The reason why you exist is clear-cut. Janara is something else entirely. She's a magic user, somehow, and she's supposed to be the guardian of Peak, yet Weza was allowed to try and do away with her. So, what she really wants to know is why, David said. Deku was currently in the library studying with Weiss. However, he couldn't concentrate on studying due to a certain older sister. Deku thought it'd be best to tell Weiss about it. Hey, Weiss, Deku said. Yes, darling, Weiss asked. Whilst he had been distracted, Weiss had moved really close to Deku. The only way she could have gotten closer was by sitting on his lap. Darling, Deku asked. Ignore that. What? What is it? Weiss asked, in a flustered mess. I just need to talk to you about us, Deku said. Weiss blushed even more. Of course. What aspect of our relationship do you want to talk about? Weiss asked. What comes next? Deku said. Weiss felt lighter than air. And that entails a pretty raw conversation I had with your sister, Deku said. With Winter? Weiss asked, crashing back down. Deku then told Weiss about what happened with Winter. And that's how it went, Deku said. I can't believe this. I can't believe she would. Even after Weiss said. I think it was exactly because of the fight. Don't think too harshly of her, Deku said. You can't be serious, Weiss said. Make no mistake, I really don't care for the way she put herself out. But I can see where she's coming from, Deku said. You're a saint, Weiss sighed. Or maybe I want you in a good mood for what comes next, Deku said. Yes, about that. I'm not really sure what you're asking of me here, Weiss said. I'm just offering you a third option, Deku said. Weiss said. I understand that it may be an atypical method of resolving things, but Deku said. Well, yes, it is. Very much so, Weiss said. Okay. I'll be completely honest with you, Izuku. I'm of two minds on this, Weiss said. I expected nothing less, Deku said. On one hand, I don't have solid preconceptions about the structure of a relationship, due to lack of experience. So I'd welcome a way to end this without a conflict. An endeavor that I'm not 100% confident I could come out of victorious, being outgunned and outnumbered. On the other, I know next to nothing of the other involved parties, Weiss said. And they know next to nothing of you, Deku said. Indeed. So before making any decisions, I believe further understanding of all sides needs to be reached, Weiss said. Absolutely. Now would you mind just answering a question, Deku asked. Yes. What is your question, Weiss asked. You thought I was going to ask you out, didn't you, Deku asked. Well, I am, Weiss said, blushing. It's okay, Weiss. I realize that I made it sound like that. So as an apology, what to go into Veil together, Deku asked. Weiss's face went fully red before she passed out. Weiss. Weiss, Deku yelled. Meanwhile. Thanks for the report, Winter, Ironwood said. My pleasure, General, Winter said. But a message would have sufficed, Ironwood said. Considering the nature of the information and my first-hand experience, I thought it best to come in person, Winter said. True. You really are one of the best, Ironwood said. General Winter asked. Finding a completely legitimate and unquestionable work reason to come check on your sister, Ironwood said. I assure you that wasn't my intention, Winter said. Indeed. Just a side effect. How's Weiss, anyway? I haven't seen her since she gracefully accepted my recommendation for Atlas Academy. Safe, completely ignoring it, Ironwood said. She's doing fine. And I'm sure she meant no disrespect, Winter said. I know. If I had to guess, she felt that the academy was too close to home, Ironwood said. Yes. Which is why she went to Beacon, said to be the best formative academy for hunters in Remnant, Winter said. Because that was the only irreproachable alternative. I feel certain affinity. I guess it doesn't extend to everything, though, Ironwood said. And I'm glad about that. One of my biggest worries was that, with me not around, Weiss would gravitate towards my father's expectations. As Whitley did. She has the right to be her own person. But I worry that in her quest for individuality, she may have, Winter said. Winter's scroll went off. It's to distinguish her. And I forgot to put it in quiet mode, Winter blushed. At ease, Ironwood said. General Winter said. Winter left the room. Weiss. Good, Winter said. You sat on him. Really, Weiss asked. A simple intimidatory tactic. You always begin by exerting your dominance, Winter said. Why were you trying to intimidate my boyfriend in the first place, Weiss asked. He is not your boyfriend, Winter said. You certainly gave it your best shot. Sadly, Izuku is an upstanding human being and even asked me not to be too harsh on you, Weiss said. I can't believe it. The bastard used me, Winter said. Excuse me, Weiss asked. He purposely lured me in direct conflict with him. To score pity and generosity points. The little snake, Winter yelled. Winter, are you listening to yourself, right now, Weiss asked. Mr. Midoriya is obviously more cunning than I initially thought. I can no longer think of him as just a simple pervert, Winter said. So he's some kind of criminal mastermind. Why go through all this trouble just to get together with me? That makes, Weiss said. Because you're a Schnee, you booed, Winter yelled. You think that all you've ever going to meet are people who want to suck up to you hoping for scraps. The more insidious ones, the real enemies to look out for, are those who promise you what you want, and say what you need to hear, Winter said. Izuku isn't like that, Weiss said. Isn't he, Winter asked. He didn't even know who I was when we first met, Weiss said. I'm sure he didn't, Winter said. I got to go. Thanks for worrying about me, Winter, but please. Leave this alone, Weiss said, then hanging up. I can't, Winter said. General Ironwood had overheard the conversation. Deku had gone to Team RWBY's room to speak with Ruby. He knocked on the door and to his luck Ruby answered. Izuku. Hello, Ruby said. Hello, Ruby, Deku said. What can I do for you, Ruby asked. Actually, it's what I can do for you. Are the others in, Deku asked. Ha, Ruby said. It took Ruby a while to put it together. Oh. No, they're not in, and they won't be back for a while. Please come in, Ruby said. Thank you, Deku said. Deku and Ruby then entered the room. So, what's a quirk, Ruby asked. Well, in short, everything you have seen me do with my semblance has actually been my quirk, Deku said. What? That doesn't make any sense. How can your semblance be this quirk thing, Ruby asked. Well, you see, a quirk is a genetic superpower, Deku said. Huh? Izuku, you're not making any sense, Ruby said. I guess it is kind of hard to understand, so I'll just come out and say it. I'm not from Remnant, Deku said. Now you're making even less sense. Are you alright, boyfriend, Ruby asked. Yes. I am. If you'd just bear with me, I'll make everything clear, Deku said. Okay. I have no reason to not trust you after all, Ruby said. Thank you. So Deku said. There was then a knock on the door. Guess they are back sooner than expected, Deku said. That shouldn't be them. They only left for Vale 30 minutes ago. Perhaps it's John, Ruby said, walking to the door. Well, let's see who's behind door number 1, Deku said. Ruby giggled and opened the door. Standing there was a lanky man with black hair. Uncle Crow, Ruby cheered, as she jumped on him. Did you miss me? Did you miss me, Ruby asked. Nope, Crow said, before rubbing Ruby's head. What are you doing here, Ruby asked. What? Can I not visit my favorite niece, Crow asked. Well, yeah, of course you can, but you're usually on super hunter missions, Ruby said. Well, you're right, kiddo. I am here on a super hunter mission, Crow said. What is it? Can you tell me? Can you tell me, Ruby asked. Not everything, but I do need your help, Crow said. You do, Ruby asked. Yep. I need to speak to Izuku Midoriya, would you please take me to him, Crow said. Oh, there's no need, he's right here, Ruby said. Hello, Deku said. So you're Izuku, Crow said. Yep, Deku said. Alright. Would you mind coming with me? Ozpin said to come to you, Crow said. Oh, so you're part of the exhibition, Deku said. Not part, I am. I just have a few questions I want to ask that are private to you, Crow said. Don't worry. We can talk here. Ruby knows about me and that Grim. In fact, she was there in Baruto, Deku said. Wait, you were in Baruto? Do you know how dangerous that is? Why were you involved, Crow asked. I overheard about what happened, so I snuck aboard the ship. I couldn't just stay at Beacon when my boyfriend was in trouble, Ruby said. Crow sighed. Just like your mother. Next time you do something like this, you tell me and your father, okay, Crow said. Okay, Ruby said. Now back onto what I came here for. I hope I wasn't interrupting anything special, Crow teased, causing Deku and Ruby to blush. Nothing of the sort was happening, Ruby said. I was just telling Ruby about who I actually am, Deku said. Calm down. I'm only teasing, Crow said. Ruby pouted. That's not funny, Ruby said. It's funny to me. Anyway, let's get on with why I came here, Crow said. Alright, but nature is calling, so if you'd excuse me, Deku said. Deku then entered that bathroom. Nice boyfriend you've found, Crow said. Ruby blushed. Here, Crow said. Ruby caught a small box that Crow had threw at her. It was a box of contraceptives. Ruby was completely mortified. Why? Why are you giving me this, Ruby asked. Because you're too young to get pregnant, Crow said. I know that. But why are you giving me these, Ruby asked. Because I'm your cool uncle and not your dad, Crow said. Crow, Ruby said. Hey, I'm just making sure you're safe. You can always give them back, Crow said. Ruby looked at Crow before putting them in her pocket. A while later, Deku came out of the bathroom and told Ruby and Crow about himself and the Grim no knew. Afterwards, Crow left. Bye, Crow, Ruby said. See ya, kiddo. Say hi to Young for me, Crow said. Will do, Ruby said. So, my boyfriend is an alien. Cool, Ruby said. I wouldn't really call myself an alien, but that is technically what I am. Being so far away from home, Deku said. Do you miss it, Ruby asked. Of course I do. I miss it every day. I miss my mother, my friends, everything I knew. But there's nothing I can do about it. I don't know if there's even a way for me to get home. I might be trapped here forever, which isn't so bad, but I have a duty back home. I don't even know what's happening. I don't know what state my home is in. For all I know they could all be dead, Deku said, crying. Hey, don't say that. I'm sure everything is alright, Ruby said, hugging Deku. Deku hugged back and continued to cry on Ruby. Feeling better now, Ruby asked, as Deku pulled away. Deku nodded. Good, Ruby said. Ruby then kissed Deku on the lips. The two smiled at each other before kissing again and falling to the bed, Ruby laying on Deku. As the box fell out of Ruby's pocket. Home. What this, Deku asked, picking up the box. Wait, don't, Ruby said. But it was too late. Deku had seen it was a box of birth control pills. Did Crow give these to use, Deku asked. Yeah. You want to use them, Ruby asked. Deku blushed profusely at Ruby's question. Soon an answer was given. Ruby and Deku spent the night together. Oh, come on. Not on my bed, Weiss said. Shush, Weiss Young said. How can you be okay with this, Weiss asked. Because it was bound to happen eventually. So there's no point in being mad. I am sad to see her becoming a woman. I thought that would never happen, Young said. Let's go before we ruin their night, Blake said. Where are we supposed to go, Weiss asked. Across the hall to Team JNPR's room, Blake said. Fine, Weiss said. Team JPDE were all getting ready for bed. Night, everyone, Evelyn said. Good night, Evelyn, David said. Night, Eve, Deku said. Tonight, David and Deku were going to try lucid dreaming to try and contact the respective people in their minds. Penny, are you sure these binaural things won't fry my brain or something, David asked. I'm sure, David. It will just help in inducing lucid dreaming. Well, they are actually a prototype made from the Atlas military, so it won't as much help induce as actually make it happen, Penny said. Well, that's promising. But since these are prototypes, who knows how much these will actually help, Deku said. Well, there's only one way to find out, Penny said. So? Is there anything I should remember or be wary of, David asked. Nothing of the sort. The lucid dreaming will end when the recording does. Only thing to keep in mind is that it may be more surreal than your average dream, Penny said. More surreal. Okay, got it. Thanks. Good night, David said. Night, Penny. Night, David, Deku said. Night, you too, Penny said. Deku and David then went to sleep. Deku soon found himself in the void. He looked around, looking for one of the past users of One for All, but none of them were around. Then part of a room then formed with several large chairs, and sitting in these chairs were the past users of One for All. We need to have ourselves a talk before you wake up, Banjo said. My apologies. The timing's not ideal, Yuki said. The timing is never ideal, Banjo said. Or you could see it, a fate, a man with blonde hair and two jagged scars on the left side of his face. Banjo, you spoke to him before, yes. When he first used Black Whip, a man with black hair and a red coat that covered his mouth. I bet you're confused, so let me explain. At first, we could only talk to you when we found cracks in your consciousness. But we're not limited to those moments anymore. The reason is related to my power, which you now hold. Recently it suddenly began to grow at a rapid pace. As a result of this acceleration, the previous wielders, the figures you see in front of you now, were able to take shape and communicate with each other inside of One for All, Yuki said. Don't you worry, we'll still give you your much-loved privacy. Quite the ladies' man you are, Banjo said. Deku blushed. Deku then tried to speak, but his words were muffled. Oh, right. I forgot you don't have a mouth in here, Banjo said. Allow me to explain. My name's Hikage Shinamori, and I was One for All's fourth wielder. During the battle in Baruto, you unintentionally tapped into my quirk and used it on the field. It was kind of a shock, to be honest, Shinamori said. Deku muffled an apology. Strange that I didn't sense you'd be using danger sense since it is my quirk, Shinomori said. Number 4's a weird one. He got tired of everyday life, so he started living in seclusion like a hermit, Banjo said. Mine was a terrible era. The rest of society was strange, not me, Shinomori said. Banjo then tried to hit Shinomori with Black Whip, but he dodged all attempts with danger sense. It's good to know you've been training with my power. With time and practice you'll be able to dodge attacks like me, Shinomori said. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. I'm Nana Shimura, All Might's master. You also used my quirk in Baruto, Nana said. Deku muffed a huh. She's right. Due to our newfound freedom to interact with each other, we've been able to contact All Might, Yuki said. Really, Deku muffled. Through the peace of him in One for All, we've been able to know what's been going on back on Earth. And it's not good. The world is going from bad to worse. The League of Villains has gotten stronger and their power and influence are still increasing. Also, since your disappearance, UA has come under a lot of scrutiny. UA has had to increase its security again and your classmates have been restricted in their work studies, which isn't good. They'll have to fight in this upcoming war, and I don't know if they'll be ready for it. We need to return to Earth, Yuki said. Deku looked at the floor. He knew they were right, but he just couldn't abandon his new friends, especially now. Well, there's no use dwelling on it. All that will do is distract you and get you killed, Flame said. Flame, Deku questioned with his muffled voice. What do you mean by that? Flame, Nana asked. Well, how exactly is Izuku going to be able to get home? Flame asked. The past users didn't have a response. As I thought. Izuku, you focus on what's happening on Remnant. Whilst you do that, I'll try and find a way to send you back, Flame said. You have an idea on how to send him back? Banjo asked. Not really. But I did bring him to Remnant, so I should be able to send him back. But finding that out will take a while. How much time do I have? Flame asked. A couple months, Yuki said. Then I best get to it. And you best get to helping your friends, Flame said. Deku nodded. We'll talk again when we need to or when you want. You don't need to lucid dream to contact us again. You can just will to speak to us when you go unconscious. See you around 9, Yuki said. Tuesday. Day 149. After school, Jack, David and Deku were just at the end of the Bullhead landing. A timed release? Jack asked. Yes. Right now we can't have any interferences, not when we're so close. Pleading won't help Cinder. So we make her a deal. We give her what she wants but only at a later date, David said. It certainly interests her. From what you've told us about her reaction after Baruto, I have a feeling she considers us a threat, Jack said. Oh, she most definitely does. Remember when I came back with all this bite marks and scratches? That was from a confrontation with Cinder after she threatened you guys, Deku said. She bit you during your scuffle? David asked. Well, not during the scuffle. She bit me during what we did after, Deku said. Jack and David then blushed. You need to, David said. I know, and I will. Let's just move past that. Anyway, she'd certainly be interested in keeping out of each other's way as much as possible. Still, we have to give her a precise timing, Deku said. Yes. I was thinking after the final exam for the first years. That's in little more than 1 month, so the wait won't be excruciatingly long, David said. That reminds me, there's something I need to talk to all of you regarding our final exam. It concerns Mei, Deku said. Mei? I something wrong on her hand? Jack asked. Not exactly. I'll tell you the story when we're all together. There's a bit of background that is needed, Deku said. I see. Once Penny and Evelyn come back from Vale, then Jack said. What did they go into the city for, anyway? David asked. Evelyn said that if we just kept obsessing over Sunday's operations for the rest of the week, we'd be completely spent by the time Amber needed us at 100%, and I can't fault that reasoning. So she said she wanted to go get us a distraction, Jack said. For some reason I'm now worried, Deku said. Same here, David said. Jack chuckled. I prefer you two do, Jack said. Team JPDE were all in their room preparing to meet with Weiss about entering the relationship. All right. Everyone's got their roles, Deku asked. I'm in charge of preparing snacks, Evelyn said. I will record a transcript of everything, Penny said. I will keep an eye out for uninvited guests, David said. And I'm your witness, I guess, Jack said. Important to have a neutral party on things like this. Anyway, time to get on my own task and get some drinks. Be back in a few, Deku said. Deku then headed to the mess hall to get the drinks. As Deku was walking back to the dorm room, danger sense went off. Deku barely had time to turn around to see Winter before she knocked him out. Sorry, I couldn't use a more gentle method, Midoriya. Chemicals could mess with your pain receptors, Winter said. Winter then took Deku away. Deku was woken up by being splashed by cold water, causing him to cough and splutter. Wake up, Midoriya, Winter said. Deku opened his eyes. What? Where? Deku asked. One of the lab ship's medical rooms. It's currently locked down and isolated due to suddenly scheduled maintenance. It will stay as such until we're done, Winter said. Deku tried to move, but he was tied to a chair. A situation he could quickly escape, but there was something he needed to know. Why? Deku asked. Because you're a cunning pervert, Winter said. How? Deku said. You heard me. You're a disgusting, cunning little pervert that wants to defile Weiss, Winter yelled. You're crazy. You're actually crazy, Deku said. Say what you will. I will protect Weiss from your clutches and expose the truth. A moment, Winter said. Winter then set her scroll to record. There we go. Now you may talk, Winter said. You're recording this. You're recording your own crime. Are you psychopathic? Is any of this going to start making sense anytime soon? Deku asked. I've committed no crime, Winter said. That's interesting, because last time I checked, kidnapping is a crime, Deku yelled. Members of the Atlas Army can engage in police work on Atlassian or allied territory if no other Atlassian official is available and they deem a perp to be endangering a citizen of Atlas. The lab ship is also considered territory of Atlas. So, there's no crime to be recorded here, Winter said. Deku remained silent. So, let's get your questioning underway. Confess and I will let you go, Winter said. Confess to what? Deku asked. What do you really want with Weiss? Winter asked. Well, I can't believe this. You have such a sister complex, Deku said. Joking won't help you, Winter said. Then you should stop clowning around. In fact, you're not a clown. You're an entire circus, Deku said. Winter punched Deku in the gut. You should know. I disdain methods of interrogation that lead to blood and gore. Which is why my expertise is in other afflictions. Like that sense of vertigo you're feeling right now. Again, then. Why did you approach Weiss? Winter asked. Because she was smart, Deku said. Winter punched Deku again. Lying won't help you. Tell the truth and this stops, Winter said. You are really bad at telling who is lying, Deku said. Winter punched Deku again. Why? Are you pursuing my sister? Winter asked. Because she's got a nice ass under that short skirt of hers, Deku said. You're filth, Winter said. And you're a psychopath. So we're even, Deku said. Winter then punched Deku. Back at Team JPDDE's room, Weiss had arrived and they wait for Deku's return. And waited. And waited. He's not answering his scroll, Penny said. He literally only had to go so the store in the mess hall, Evelyn said. What could have happened? In broad daylight, in the middle of the school. How? Penny asked. All right, let's all calm down. From when he went until now there's no bullhead, so he must still be in the school. Otherwise, Jack said. Excuse me. I let myself in, Ironwood said. General Ironwood. Why are you? Weiss asked. You should all come with me to the lab ship. It's about Mr. Midoriya, Ironwood said. Winter, Weiss said. Back on the lab ship, Deku had continued to suffer through Winter's interrogation. You're clearly dehydrated. Normally, I'd let you take a rest. Recharge your liquids so that the questioning could continue with the same efficiency. Unfortunately for you, I don't have that kind of time. So corporeal it is, Winter said. Winter punched Deku in the face, busting his lip. You forced my hand, Midoriya. All you needed to do was tell me the truth. This could have been over from the get-go, but, instead, you're trying to hold on to your secrets. I'm going to ask once again, Midoriya. Then, I fear I'm going to have to start using more brutal methods of questioning. Why? Are you aiming for my sister? Winter said. I think this has gone on long enough, Deku said. Good, so you finally see reason? Winter asked. Deku then headbutted Winter. He then flipped forward, landing on Winter and breaking the chair. He then threw Winter up into the ceiling and then kicked her to the wall. I've been seeing reason this whole time. It's you that hasn't been. Everything I've said has been the truth, yet you refuse to believe it. What on earth caused you to become so damaged that you would do such a thing? Deku said. My damage. That does not matter to you, degenerate, Winter yelled. Winter then charged towards Deku. The door to the infirmary then opened. Penny and Jack grabbed hold of Winter. Izuku evilly yelled. Deku. Are you okay? David asked. Oh my gods, no, Weiss said. Hey guys. Perfect timing, Deku said. What did she do to you? Weiss asked. Winter said. Miss Winter. Please, don't try to move, right now, Penny said. Specialist or not, gods help me if you try and move a finger right now, I'll freeze your whole hand off and snap it at the wrist, Jack yelled. Give him some space, please. Mr. Midoriya is simply dehydrated. The bruises he has sustained will be gone by tonight thanks to his aura. Now. Winter, Ironwood said. General, Winter said. Always the perfectionist. If you were actually recording yourself, I know you've been treating this as official Atlas police work. Questioning Odia Perp as a danger to a citizen of Atlas. Weiss Schnee. But there's a small problem. Any unlawful actions Mr. Midoriya may have committed in this instance could have only been committed on the grounds of Beacon Academy. And as such are exempt from the Allied treaties. They are exclusive judication of the Disciplinary Committee of Beacon, in the figure of Miss Glinda Goodwitch. Any requests to proceed from other law enforcement agencies must go through her. But that's not the only part of all this that makes me believe your judgment was highly skewed and biased, Ironwood said. General. Winter said. As of now, you're on leave. And you shall remain as such until you've sorted all of this out. Starting with yourself, Ironwood said. Yes, General, Winter said. You can let her go now, students, Ironwood said. Get lost, cunt, Jack said. Jack and Penny let go of Winter. I'm very, very disappointed in you, Miss Winter, Penny said. I know, Winter said. Weiss and Winter were then left alone. Weiss. Winter said. Being a Schnee is terrible. Mom is an alcoholic trapped in her own life. Dad is dad and Whiteley is a little monster who wants nothing more than to grow up to be just like him. But I always said to myself, hey, at least there's Winter. My big sister, the specialist. I was so proud. I never thought one day I'd be ashamed of being your sister, Weiss said. Weiss then left the infirmary, leaving Winter to think. A while later Deku was in Team JPDE dorm room. His injuries had almost fully healed. The rest of Team JPDE were out of the room. There was then a knock on the door. Deku. Can I come in? Weiss asked. Of course you can, Weiss. It's open, Deku said. Weiss then entered the room. Hey, Weiss said. Hey, Deku said. Weiss then walked over to Deku's bed and sat down next to him. So, how are you feeling? Weiss asked. Oh, you know. Like I'm recovering from someone's older sister. Weiss gave a small laugh. I'm so sorry for what Winter did, Weiss said. You have nothing to be sorry for. It wasn't your fault, Deku said. But if I had just been for firm with her, Weiss said. Then I think I would have suffered more than a few bruises. This isn't your fault, it's Winter's. This isn't your fault at all, Deku said. Why? Why did I ever look up to her? Weiss said. Weiss, Deku said. She kidnapped and recorded you. Watching that made me sick to my stomach, Weiss said. Weiss, Deku said. How could she be even worse than my? Weiss said. Weiss, Deku yelled. How? Weiss said. You don't really think that, do you? Deku asked. I don't know. I just want to forget this day, Weiss said. Well, maybe this will help, Deku said. Deku then kissed Weiss. Weiss could believe it at first, but she then melded into it before falling on the bed. Hey. Deku, Weiss said after they broke apart. Yeah, Deku asked. Do you like my ass? Weiss asked. How? Deku said, blushing. I watched the recording, remember? And you said you were attacked by my ass. Was that true? Weiss asked. Well, I did say everything I said was true, Deku said. Weiss smiled and moved to Deku's ear. Then come take it. It's all your, Weiss whispered. And Deku did. Evelyn had completed making new outfits for David and Deku to continue working at Juniors. And tonight, there was going to be a grand premiere. So, Evelyn, we're here. Mind telling us what this special show that's going to happen tonight is, exactly? Jack asked. I'm sorry, that would infringe on the contract between me and our stud muffins, Evelyn said. A non-disclosure agreement. Oh my, now I'm excited, Penny said. At least give me a hint. Does it have anything to do with the special guest star that's mentioned in the flyers? Jack asked. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, we should go help with preparations, David said. You have your passes, so we'll see you later. And just a reminder, we were never here, Deku said. Okay. Good luck, Penny said. Good luck indeed, Evelyn said. David and Deku then left the girls. David went to help Melanie whilst Deku went to help Milshia. Hey Milshia, Deku said. Hey Izuku. I must say, after seeing your outfits, they are way better put together than our own outfits, Milshia said. I expected nothing less from Evelyn. She has such a talent for it, Deku said. Yeah. Definitely a good talent to have. Say, why are you doing this? Milshia asked. How? Deku said. You're not the type to willingly break the law. Yet you still want to work here and are now going to disguise yourself to avoid being found out. Why? Milshia asked. Because you asked for help, Deku said. Is that it? Milshia asked. Yep. You asked for help with security and I'm not one to say no to helping someone no matter what, Deku said. But why did you agree to join us as a talent? We originally employed you as security, Milshia said. Well, I still feel a bit guilty about what happened with David. I was originally there to make sure David is safe, but I was overconfident with his recovery. So doing this will be my apology for letting that happen, Deku said. You're a strange kid, you know that, Milshia said. You say strange, I say altruistic, Deku said. If you say so. Are you ready for your premiere, Milshia said. As ready as I can be. The clothes and name do have me a bit nervous. I think it's a bit too much, Deku said. Clients expect a certain attitude to hosts. Do you think our last name really is Malachite, Milshia said. It's not, Deku asked. Maybe. That's the entire point. Now, get ready in your new threads. It's almost time for your debut, Milshia said. Deku then went to change. I can't stand it anymore. Evelyn, tell us, already, Jack said. Just be patient, Evelyn said. I've been plenty patient for this level of curiosity. What is going to happen? What is their role in all of this, and what does it have to do with the outfits you made for them, Jack asked. Well, Evelyn said. Ladies and gentlemen, if we may have your attention. It's finally time for the main event, the DJ said. It's starting. It's starting, Evelyn said. What is starting, exactly, Penny asked. Just shush and watch. You'll thank me later, Evelyn said. I am sure you are familiar with the beautiful jewels of juniors Melanie and Milshia, the Malachite twins, the DJ said, getting the crowd to cheer. They've made each night here at Juniors a glamorous dream, you all know their charm. And tonight, they are here to make an announcement, the DJ said. Indeed, DJ Top Z. You may not believe it, but being this fabulous can be tiring, Melanie said. So many fans, so many people coming to experience everything Juniors has to offer. The Malachites needed a helping hand. Or two, Milshia said. Helping hands, Jack questioned. Oh my, you don't mean, the DJ said. Indeed. As of today, 2 new hosts are joining the family at Juniors, Melin said. And pay attention, girls and whoever else with even a passing interest in the male form. This is for you. Give a big Juniors welcome to, Milshia said. Jun and Carlo Paynite, the twins said. Deku and David then came out on stage. Jack began to laugh. Told you, Evelyn said. Deku and David were both wearing fancy suits and blonde wigs, making them look like twins. Deku and David were in the middle with the twins on both sides holding on to them as they did the same. Jack was laughing so hard she began to cough. End of chapter 56.